So our local governments, our counties, our cities, our schools, really are the governments that are closest to us, that make the most impact on us. And 100 years ago, it would have been the government that you knew the best. You would know your city council members. You would know your school board members. You would know your county members. That's what the papers would really be covering. You would hear interviews on the radio. But because we have such a national focus in the media, we end up following the president and Congress much more than we follow our local governments. And that's unfortunate because the local government is where you can have the most impact. You can go to any meeting and talk in public comments. You can really have an influence and an impact by getting involved. And so I really encourage you to do that, to get involved, to go to meetings, to know who those representatives are, to go to candidate forums, to get involved, to work on campaigns, to run for office. I think it's really crucial that we have people getting involved. So let's talk a little bit about our county government. So our county, Orange County, has 3.2 million people. It's a fairly large county in California. And we've got 5 board of supervisors. So we break it up by region. Fullerton College is in the 4th district. And so there will be elections in 2018. And the regular board meetings, these are full-time positions, and so they hold their regular board meetings on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays in Santa Ana. The Board of Supervisors does a lot of things. They set policy, and that's usually what these boards and councils do. Is there's a full-time staff. There's thousands of people who work for the county. There's a CEO who is in charge of the county, but the supervisors who represent the people are doing all of these things by setting the policy, what we should be doing, and then the public administrators, the full-time staff who do that, who implement the work, are doing just that at the policy bequest of the supervisors. So 4th District is currently represented by Shawn Nelson. He ran for Congress to replace Ed Royce and failed. He was going to run for judge. We'll see if he pulls papers. He's very interested in staying elected, and as a judge, he would have the name recognition to do exactly that. So in November, we're going to see one of these 2 folks, either Tim Shaw or Doug Chafee. They were the top 2 vote getters, and so none of these people will be on the ballot. The Board of Supervisors is nonpartisan, so we don't get to see the party affiliation, which again is somewhat facetious. Like, I know what party Tim Shaw and Doug Chafee belong to. They know what party they belong to. The parties themselves know their affiliation. And so in the mailers, they're going to try to indicate that without alienating voters. The 4th District has more Democrats than Republicans by party registration. It's one of the things that you're going to do on your scavenger hunt, to look up what the party registration is, the 4th District. So one of these 2 folks, Tim Shaw, is a Republican. Doug Chafee is a Democrat. We'll see if that matters to the voters. I think what'll matter more, Tim Shaw is facing a recall in La Habra. I'm not sure if it'll get enough signatures, but they're attempting that. Doug Chafee is from Fullerton City Council, so Fullerton is larger than La Habra and might have more name recognition, but you can sort of see that it was just razor tight. But there's, tens of thousands of votes out there that are going to have to go one way or another. The 1st District, Garden Grove, Westminster, Fountain Valley, and Santa Ana, is Andrew Doe. And so he'll be up for re-election he'll be termed out of office in 2020. They have 2-term limits, which is why Shawn Nelson is not running again. Michelle Steele from District 2 is running for re-election, and by the looks of it, is not going to have a problem at all. She got 63% of the vote. Todd Spitzer is not termed out of office. His district isn't up for re-election, and he's not termed out until 2020, but he represents Yorba Linda and Anaheim, Orange, and a huge part of the Cleveland National Forest is in his district, and Tustin and Irvine. He's actually running for district attorney, so if he wins that race, he'll have to resign as board of supervisor, and there'll be a special election to replace him. Tony Rackauckus is the incumbent district attorney. There are no term limits, and so he's been there for quite a while. And Todd Spitzer is challenging him. Tony Rackauckus is he has had more scandals as district attorney, and Orange County just doesn't care. A grand jury report wrote that he mismanages the office, that he's capricious in decision making, that he has bungled a number of cases. There was a snitch scandal where the district attorney and the sheriff were basically offering huge deals to prisoners in the jail to testify against each other, except that they were knowingly picking people who didn't know those people, and they were basically giving deals, lesser sentences, and exonerating people for lying. They're just saying, we need evidence against these people, make up whatever you want. Nobody cares. California, the Orange County voters, that's okay. There's no outrage. He clearly got a huge number of the vote. So I don't know what'll happen. It's going to be a dirty race. It's going to be an ugly race. They both really want this, and they're going to spend millions of dollars attacking one another. So on election day, whoever the district attorney is, will probably be disappointed in them because of the slander and the negative advertising. Which no matter what voters say, voters always say, oh, I hate negative advertising. Well, unfortunately it works and people believe it. And, the reason that people don't like it is because you do end up being really disappointed with everybody. Lisa Bartlett should be up for re-election. She's going to she's not going to face an election because no one challenged her. And so she's unopposed and will not have to be on the ballot in November. The county manager, the person in charge, is CEO Frank Kim. And so you can sort of see this organizational chart that, they always put the voters on top as if we're really in charge. The board of supervisors can hire and fire the CEO, and then all of these other offices, human resources and the financial office and all these departments, the healthcare agency and social services, all of those things are, the purview of the CEO. We have a plural executive in Orange County, and it's a big problem, and it has been. Not the least because we've had some really bad sheriffs that we keep reelecting, and only leave the county office because the FBI comes and arrests them and locks them up in a federal prison, like Mike Corona. So we have a very high tolerance for scandal and wrongdoing. The board of supervisors, and then we elect the district attorney separately. We elect the sheriff separately. We elect the treasurer separately. We elect the assessor separately. The office that sends out the property tax bills, the auditor controller separately, the clerk recorder separately. Most of these could easily be appointed, and no one would know the difference. Maybe you want an independent, separately elected district attorney because you want them to not be politically wedded to anyone. You don't want them to owe anybody. You want them to investigate. So if the board of supervisors does something wrong, you want them to investigate and prosecute that. Our district attorney hasn't prosecuted any political folks. So Orange County, we've got 3.2 million people. That's a million different households. So it's sort of interesting to see how large we are, the demographics of the county by population. We've got, some concentrations in the 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 group, but a huge, pretty big distribution of ages in California, and clearly people like to stay in Orange County after they retire. The Orange County budget is, community services and public protection. It's a huge part of what we spend our money on when you look at the county, what the county is responsible for. A lot of what they do is, to go back here, a lot of what they do is take state money and actually implement the programs. So they take welfare dollars from the state and they implement them. I'll put a link to a better graphic where you can see it, because this is really tiny print. So I'll post that in the module, but, public protection and the sheriff's office is a big part. And then, community services, social services, welfare, child protective services, the healthcare agency, public works, taking care of county projects. OC demographics. You've got, a third of the county is Latino, slightly more than a third is white, and a big part is Asian, and Pacific Islander gets its own slot. So you can kind of combine those two. A very small percentage of the county is Black or African American, a very small percentage is Alaskan Native or Indian. So that's kind of where we're at in demographics. So that's the county of the county government and the Board of Supervisors. We'll talk more at the election of who wins and who doesn't.